All right. I don't mean to have you looking up at me necessarily, but that's how it is. So that's how we're gonna leave it. So that's my camera stand. Is this where it is right now is how it's gonna be for this video. Here's the thing. Today is the 17th of December, 2024. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of Indie Image Clothing Company. This is Indie Image Clothing Company music. We've got this cute little mahalo soprano ukulele, and I have a mustache actually as of today is when it was. So all right. Do I actually have a broken nail? No, there's just something on my nail. Maybe it might be broken. No, there's just something on it. All right, folks. We got a ukulele here. We got 4 strings. I almost said 6. This little ukulele has a cousin that I also highly favor. The guitar. And that's not what this is, but it's close, very close to it. So while we have this thing, we're gonna do some cool stuff with it. Now, yeah, let's get into some cool stuff with this, man. I don't know, dude. We might have just like a discussion here. I don't even know what's gonna happen for sure. I feel like I'm supposed to be turning this on, holding a little, blue stringed instrument in my hand, and just see what happens from there. So that's what we're doing. Mahalo ukulele. Let's think about some things for a second. You know, it's almost more of a game of patience than anything else, I mean, just life itself, but also seeing if anyone wants to sit through this video. Oh, man. Listen to this just for a second. I want to feel through this. I want to see what happens with this. You'll see what I mean by that. I like that really unstructured, but like really awesome music. That's what I really enjoy. Tommy Emmanuel, I don't even, care to talk about other people, but I'm going to talk about Tommy Emmanuel right now. I don't know many guitarists. I don't like rock. I do not like rock at all. I mean, I don't. If you like rock, hey, you can like what you like. I don't like rock. I don't like metal. I don't like hard music, man. I don't like any kind of secular music at all. I like stuff that's weird. Tommy Emmanuel plays some weird stuff, bro. Tommy Emmanuel, he's this, as far as I know, he's an Australian guitarist, man, and he plays some interesting stuff, man. He writes music and, writes like guitar music, and I like that, man. I like it when people are just so out of the box and so weird with what they do. That's what you're gonna see from me. If you ever see any music from me, my name is Evan Strong. Welcome to my ukulele video. You're gonna hear some weird music, man, if you stick around for yeah, anything from me. Now, I got this whole thing, man, this relationship with minor chords. I love them. There's so much emotion in minor chords. I had this Cordoba C5, and it was a C5 CE. It was the Iberia series. The thing was beautiful, solid red cedar top. Man, it smelled amazing. And the dynamics that you have within cedar, coupled with nylon strings, man, that thing was, you know, that thing was awesome. Wasn't good on my body. I had that last year when I was going through a lot of this like learning and adjustment, right? And then I founded In The Image Clothing Company this year. Man, well, I mean, just, I had a flat fretboard and it was too wide and just wasn't good on the hands. But man, I just play minor chords on that thing, man. And you can like I keep saying within, videos that I'm making, you're gonna see once I get a guitar, the guitar that like I need as far as like the type of guitar that I need, shape and size and, nylon strings and stuff. You'll see what I'm talking about, man. I played some nylon strings like crazy. I used to say it, I've said this, but I'm like, I'm gonna do crazy things with nylon strings, bro. And I just know it. And I mean, even this in itself, that was pretty cool, I think. If you don't think so, hey, I don't care. But I thought that's kind of sick. Little minery, like bluesy kind of thing. And that's kind of why I felt like I could mention Tommy Emmanuel after that. Is like he plays like he does his shoulders move so much when he plays guitar, man. He just feels it. And he does some bluesy, like really like bouncy stuff like that. It's really fun, man. I mean, well, I think one thing that's you can feel how much fun people are having within their music by listening to it. And you can like hear how much fun they're having within their music just by the music that's coming from their instrument. And he's someone, man, you can just feel it, man. You can see it. If you watch him, I've just watched him on like the internet videos and you can just see the joy that he has playing a guitar, man. I'm very similar in that way, man, to where I've said that, I get a guitar in my hand. I mean, I get any kind of thing with instrument, percussion, as far as beatboxing, or even like I'm saying with this, this thing's become like a whole thing. I mean, this is like, it's a shock. That's what I've said quite a bit about this little ukulele. It's just something that's like so unexpected, unsuspecting, if that's the right wordage. It just brings a lot of joy to you, man. And I just, man, I remember sitting there playing those minery. Well, cause like I just freestyle with stuff, and so I'll just sit within like an A minor and E minor and just like on a guitar, they're right next to each other, and man, I mean, because it turns into like a bluesy type of feel, and I love that bouncy blues. That's like what I would call it, man. And playing this little ukulele, man, you can get a lot out of it. So I think I think the biggest thing is like, yeah, kind of being content with where I am, because for a time there, man, I was buying guitars left and right, and I ended up with so many of them. I sold a bunch and gave some away and stuff. When you're without something that, I mean, like I could totally get one, but like when you're without it and you're trying to just like figure out what you're supposed to be learning in the time that you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing, and that like will be coming in time. It's like, all right, what's the time that I have right now supposed to be used as? Am I supposed to be learning something in the meantime, doing something specific in the meantime? And those kind of questions are, I think, really what helps build your faith, because I mean, and I said that, I remember it's about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I was talking all the time about the faith is in the waiting. I mean, because we'll get promised things, whether it's just like through personal revelation and stuff that we know, just that we've, through promptings and stuff we've been told or whatever, by our God directly. I think a lot of times we kind of want those things, and we're like, all right, cool, yeah, when I see it, then like, it's like that whole scene is believing, it's not, I mean, the faith is in the waiting is the point of that whole like kind of run around with that story is, the faith is in the waiting. You know something's gonna happen, and sometimes it might not be for years. And I think a lot of times in our earthly, fleshly understanding of things, we go by time as human beings, and to our God, like time doesn't exist to him. He's outside of time. He's outside of space and time. He's outside of all of it. Before all of it, he was there in the beginning, right? The earth was formless and void, and he was still there. And so once we realize, like I talk about playing the long game, we've got a podcast episode called The Long Game for In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And once we start to sit there and realize, man, and it's really important to see what I just said there, sit there and realize you got to sit as far as just like, get still, man. Stop running to things. It's something I'm telling myself. I'm not like being accusations. All of us need to hear this. Because in these times, being still and sitting and waiting can mean, hey, we might pump out a ton of cool stuff with this little ukulele. But that's sitting and waiting, as in sitting where you are and being content with that being your now. Even if you didn't really want that, or you'd be hoping for something else, we don't have control over that. We're not going to change it just because we want it, or like even if you had the means to or whatever, if you're trying to do it out of your own like desires rather than being obedient when you're supposed to wait, even though it doesn't make sense. It's those kind of things. And so I think really what's going to end up happening is I'm going to be able to see why I had to wait to play guitar. Why it's been this whole close to 2-year battle for me now since I got my first guitar, and then now I don't have one, and I'm just going to see why that all was. And I'm going to understand. I mean, I understand some of it. Like I founded In the Image Clothing Company in this time in between, right? When I didn't have any guitars. And that was something that, I mean, this has actually taken up quite a bit of time in a good way, but I would have had to have the time to do this, to make all the videos that I've made that will live on forever, as big as the company gets. We'll always have these videos, and they'll always just have the same information that'll apply. And so things like that, I understand I had to do that, but a lot of it I don't know still, and I may never know within this life, a lot of what really this whole little separation period from music for me was for. But a lot of times actually what ends up happening is there's a lot of things that are going to be used like for us and with us as far as other people, people that we will be in contact with, or like even like someone you might end up marrying, or somebody you're gonna do like certain things with for maybe years or whatever. And a lot of times your waiting period, out of just listening and doing it out of obedience, your waiting period through something that you feel like, well, why couldn't I just do it now, might actually be waiting for somebody else who's going to be in your life to get to, not like someone's better or worse, but right, like get to the right place to mesh up with you where you are, and then you guys can launch together. A lot of times that really happens, and it doesn't have to be like a marriage necessarily, a romantic relationship, but like I'm saying, business partners or anything. A lot of times that really does happen, because we are individuals, and we get used to the extent that we're willing to be and open to being used as a vessel. And that's the whole goal. That's the whole point of this life, is surrendering to the Father's will. And a lot of times we kind of feel like we're doing that, but maybe we're not doing it in the ways that we actually should be. And that can come on either end. And I feel like I need to focus that within this video, within this like little documentation. I think a big part of what it really is that whole like 2 or more people coming together to accomplish something, and to work on it together. And really a lot of times it's 2 people, man. I mean, sometimes you get more people, and it's people almost get in the way, not in any kind of mean way, but really, depending on what you're doing in life, there's a certain amount of people that are actually like, that it's really efficient with, and you get more people to do that. And then it's like that saying, many hands make light work. Sometimes you get too many hands on something, and it's like, all right, can you step away for just a second? We got to do this, And I think that's another thing, is sometimes we're, not in any kind of mean way, but just it being the case, sometimes we really are kind of caught up with the wrong people too at certain times in our life, and we or have too many people around, too many distractions, too many influences, too many things that are kind of having us approach things that are maybe a little bit inauthentic in those times, or approach things in a way that, yeah, not just solely inauthentic, but kind of like you, but mixed with somebody else in it as well, just because they're there with you. And that's what kind of what I'm saying too, about getting to the right place before you're allowed to fully do what you're going to do, even if it's gonna be even though you know it's gonna happen. Like guitars, man. I've mentioned, since I got my first guitar, I didn't even really know why I was buying it, but then I was just saying, like, I'm gonna play guitar for the rest of my life. And I didn't have like some desire in my own like fleshly nature to saying those kind of things, but I just knew it, and I still know it, and that doesn't mean that it's gonna happen at any kind of certain time that I could even possibly imagine, because, you know, I mean, it could be today, could be a long time from now, whatever. And that's a lot of things with the promises that were promised through Revelation. A lot of the things that we do within the gospel, and a lot of the promises that were actually made. Again, like I was saying about the one eternal round, and our God was there before everything, and to Him there is no such thing as time, as far as like He's outside of it. He's not dictated by it, is what I mean. So seeing things like that, and then like I mentioned, playing the long game, a lot of this stuff, a lot of these blessings that we know that we're promised, they seriously might not come until after we die. And that's something that's actually very, you know, it makes you very content. I love asking those what if questions, like what if it never happened? I mean, all these things that you've been told, you've been promised, but what if it didn't happen like in this life, like in this time that you're even aware of things going on or anything? Like, that's something that's so huge, man. Because eternal life is real, man. You don't gotta believe me on nothing, but it is. It's real, and that's something I've been so blessed with, is to have the understanding of just looking at life as what it is, and something that just is fleeting, man. No matter how much sometimes we get caught up in it, we're here to really really ride through it. Sometimes it's rough, but the whole point really is going back to heaven, and you know, going back home. And so I love that what if though, because it's funny, man. I mean, you get a little bit caught up on anything, but then you ask that what if, like, hey, no matter what my mindset's trying to tell me the outcome of this is, what if? Like, what if I'm wrong? What if it's better than I thought? What if it's nothing at all like what I wanted? What if no matter what I like thought for sure that I was gonna get, I don't get? Or like, what if I feel like I'm undeserving of all these things that I would love to have happen, but then like they happen, and on all ends, just those what ifs. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing to ask, man. What if like, what if you died right now? What if I didn't even get to cut this video out, and like there's a big old earthquake, and the ceiling of this house falls on me, and then like this video just kind of keeps recording until the storage is full, or till the battery dies, and then somebody finds this and like still puts it up or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that. Like, you'd be just as content either way. Why not? You know, I love that. So I think the big thing is, a lot of times, man, I think kind of the basis of all this is the faith is in the waiting. It's been a weird time. I've been without like a job, quote unquote, for quite a while. I don't care, but just like, that's something that's kind of strange. A lot of times people think like, well, you're not doing much, at least go work. And yeah, if I got things I got to pay for, that's one thing. But as far as just getting a job for money, it's like, again, the faith is in the waiting. And I remember saying that to people when I first, because I quit my job, and then I've just been I've been in this period, like I'm saying, founding InTheImageClothingCompany Clothing Company, going through this whole like back and forth with music, and growing a lot, physically, not growing taller, I'm full grown, but like physically, getting centered with what we're doing, through the company, and a lot of stuff, man, to where, you know, within this time, well, within any time when you're not anybody, if you're not doing what you think you should be doing, or as much as you should be doing, or you don't feel like you're as productive as either other people around you want you to be, that, you care about those people and you want them to feel like you're, you know, a lot of times, you have the potential to feel like you're taking advantage of people just because of situations that's not actually the case. You're not actually taking advantage of something. But like, I mean, it's things like that, man. There's a lot of stuff that really, if we're just doing our best to please God and nobody else, then our lives will look so different, man. And you think about Christ's life on this earth and how it looked, how backward it was, man. And it's the gospel of paradoxes, and that's when you really are living the gospel to the best of what you can. We're all sinful. We're all messing up left and right. And we should be. But when we're trying the best to live the gospel, yeah, I mean, no matter how like slow things seem to be going or how backward things seem to be or whatever. I mean, if you can really let yourself kind of sit back and ask those what ifs again, when you start getting worried about things, it's like, well, what if that thing happened? The worst thing that you're thinking about that you're trying to not let happen, or whatever. It's like, what if it did? And that's when you start to realize you're not in charge. Because if I were in charge of all this and taking the reins, I don't even know. In the TV show The Chosen, gosh, man, yeah, I remember, when they're depicting Mary and Joseph, when Mary's pregnant, Mother Mary, she's coming in, getting ready to give birth to our God, and Joseph, he's like, talking. They're just kind of talking about. Actually, you know what? This was in The Shepherd. It's by the same people. Dallas Jenkins is like the main dude behind the Chosen projects, but it was actually within The Shepherd, which is a movie that they did before, as far as I'm aware, before The Chosen and The Chosen TV show. But anyway, Mother Mary, she's talking to Joseph, and she's like, Joseph's our God's stepfather, the one who helped Mary when she's about to have her child, man. And anyway, in that show, they say, Mary's talking to him, and she's like, a lot of this was just within the writing. It wasn't, not necessarily doctrine, like word for word, but she's like, you could have just, you didn't have to help me, is basically what Mary's saying. And she's like, you could have chose to just, like, do whatever, or whatever she said. And she's like, you had a choice to do that. And Joseph's like, oh, I don't believe that I did. And that's where I sit, man, with life. I don't believe that I do have a choice. I say all the time that I don't believe in anything. I'm a devoted disciple of Jesus Christ, but I don't believe in anything. I mean, I don't believe that I have a choice or anything. I believe that I don't know what to say after that, because I don't believe in anything, but it's like I wanted to have a counterpoint. No, I don't. I mean, I don't believe that I have a choice on what to do. The only choice we have is to follow the Father's will to the best that we can, and all our mistakes that we will make along the way, because on the other hand, it's just us trying to like navigate this world on our own and then thinking we're going to get somewhere in doing that. It's like, we're not, bro. You're going to die. Like, rely on the only one that can save you, or else live up this world. It's like playing a game, man. It's like betting all your money on a like a game, like going gambling, really. It's like, all right, cool, you bet your entire everything on this one game. If it messes up, if it doesn't come out, if you don't come out on top, basically, you bet everything on this one game. It's like how this life is, just a game, bro. And in the sense of it's just a little probationary state, and the whole point is just to overcome it and to be centered and focused on Christ, and so on Christ, our God. And so I think it's just so funny, man. Thinking you have a choice. I'm not laughing at people. I'm not, talking about anyone else necessarily within this, but kind of. I mean, we're all just the same thing. We're all just equal people, man, equal sinful humans. But no, I mean, we don't have choices of things, and I'm not trying to speak for other people, but for myself, for sure, I know it, man. I mean, and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying with these what ifs. Like, no matter what, I mean, what if none of it happened that I was hoping or wanting or thinking about? Because looking back and seeing all these things that did happen, or like things that I thought were going to and then didn't. On either end, it's just when I was wrong, about stuff. It's like that's when stuff actually started to happen, and I started to grow. And what's so cool too is like, you don't have to even believe. That's what I mean. You don't gotta believe in anything, man. Because I don't gotta believe that I changed or that I grew or that I was allowing myself to be used as a vessel in times when I know that things changed within me and not because of me. Because there's just no denying it, man. For myself or anybody else who possibly knew anything about me before, like, it's so funny, man. I mean, those stories, it's like before I met Christ. Why it's so funny to me is because I grew up in the church. I was born into the covenant within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I mean, I've known Christ my whole life, but I think, it was more like 2022, man. I actually really like met Christ. And I think that's so cool. Just to be wrong again, it's like, nah, see, I've been faithful my whole life. And yeah, to a degree, of course. Meaning, in my case, I can say that of my own life. Like, yes, I was, but no, man. I mean, there's a different level of, when you really, I love those stories. It's like, when people talk about when they met Christ and when they gave their life over, like, there's no denying it, man. If you know anything about a person before they actually like met Christ and then know them at all afterwards, yeah, there's no denying it, bro. There's no denying it. Nothing I could do on my own, you know what I mean? Like people got all this, and I'm not trying to dog on people or whatever. All this is meant to do is just point people to Christ. But like I was in it at myself, right? So when I was saying this, I'm not condemning others. I'm just saying, it just is what it is, no matter who's doing it, and I was one of them. But like all this self-help garbage, I mean, that's just disgusting, man. And I was so lost in that and caught up in that. But it's like right after I got out of this whole like self-help mindset, that's when I like actually met Christ. And then here we go. You know what I mean? And like I'm saying, it's not for anyone to believe nothing about what I'm saying, but there's just no denying it, man. There's no denying it. When you're really trying your best, still you're gonna mess up no matter what, your whole time on this earth. But when you're really, really, really trying your best to be devoted, it's just, man, it just happens. Like stuff just starts to take off, and that's the whole point. I mean, that's the whole point of it, us like ever achieving anything is to give glory to our God. For that whole reason that like I couldn't have done any of this, like, and there's no way I could have like kidded myself or anybody else that it was me doing it, or ever like from this point forward either. I mean, there's no way. And so even in something like this, I didn't expect this to be like a whole message within this video. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I've been feeling like I got to grab this ukulele and just sit down and make another little video. I've done this a couple times in the past few days, and here we go. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. I love this. Like I said, it's the 17th of December, 2024. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. We got In The Image Clothing Company music, man, and that's what I started this whole video with. Is I'm going to have a guitar. That's another one of those things like I'm discussing within this. Like that's not me hoping for it, desiring of it, or like I'm gonna like make it happen. No. Because if it doesn't even happen, then But it's like nah, there's no way it's not gonna happen. There's certain things you just know. I don't know when or why, and I don't know why the wait until, I mean, but I guess we'll all see, myself included, when that happens, and all the things that I just kind of like described. It'll come available to us to be able to know, at least whatever gets available for us once it comes time. So anyway, thank you again. Everything that we do is centered around the gospel of Jesus Christ. Even if I get a little bit off yeah, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like since we have a company that is centered around the gospel, then like no matter what, we're like throwing verses out every other minute, But no, I mean, because even that in itself is when we get a little bit off track and then we have to get reeled back in. That's just a testimony builder in itself, and so it's all those kind of things, man. Just being entirely open to just no matter what happens, just knowing that we're being guided, man, and knowing that because we look back. In the moment, it may not seem like it, or we may like kind of know it, but it's like, how do I really know? Because it's like, this is rough, man. It's like, if you're really guiding me, why does it look like this? It's always the looking back. It really is. It's on the back end. It's always coming, coming back to the things that happen. I'm almost tearing up. Coming back to the things that happened and realizing what happened that you couldn't have seen in the moment, but takes some time, man. Everything takes time. That's good. And all things work together for the good of those that serve our living God. So I think needless to say, but I will testify that Jesus Christ lives. And don't believe me on something, but try to allow yourself to be open to him manifesting himself to you in whatever way that means for you specific, because he knows all of us better than we could ever possibly know ourselves. And so he knows exactly what we need, even when we have no idea what we're doing. Yeah. And I don't know what I'm doing a lot of the time. I'm a really smart person, but it's weird because like I don't even know what I'm doing, and yet like got a lot of like knowledge and understanding. And so that stuff in itself, again, is just a testimony that the way that's allowed to happen is because I'm allowing myself to be open to being used, man. And that's it. You know, when music comes, it's just gonna be really cool to in everything that I can do, emulate Christ, break the misconceptions of the world and of the approaches to music, and you know, things like that, man. So I'm grateful for this little ukulele. No matter what else comes from it besides what we've already had come from it, man, it's been a beautiful little thing to have. That was a cool little bluesy thing I picked through there, man. That was really sweet. That was really sweet. So yeah, check out In the Image Clothing Company podcast, man. We got a lot of discussions like this on the gospel of Jesus Christ. So beautiful to have an outlet like this, man. Even just for myself, because like if nobody ever saw this video, and if I had never even played it back, I'm somebody who loves video. I've loved video all my life. I've kind of mentioned that within some of this stuff for In the Image Clothing Company, and you know, it's been a beautiful thing for me to be able to have, as you know, just a little device, little cell phone is what it's been, you know, all through my life, to be able to just turn it on and start to film myself talk, because it's kind of like a journal entry. I don't like writing, so you know, journals aren't my thing, but this is like a form of that, you know, making videos, and that's something that is such a blessing that I've been able to be given. You know, anyone has the access to that if they do. For me personally, man, like I'm saying, even if the video never got seen in any kind of aspect of what that could be, you know, it just kind of opens me up to be able to start venting and start talking. And a lot of times some beautiful things come out as far as just for myself to gain understanding from from words that come out of my own mouth, you know. And so ideally whatever I'm saying is, you know, hopefully, well, I don't want to, you know, be hoping for whatever, but I mean, I just mean like, you know, maybe what I'm saying can help other people as well. I think that's the biggest thing. You know, it's not about what I want to hope or or want, or you know, none of that kind of thing. I don't have some kind of desire for that, but I just mean like I'm saying, I don't know exactly why I'm even here. And so that's what I mean is, you know, I'm feeling somebody else probably needs to hear a lot of what I'm here to say, because I really am good with words and good with delivering things. And you know, we're given talents, and we're supposed to give those talents that we've been given, you know, sharing things. So I got a lot to share, man. I got a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding, like I've been saying, and you don't got to believe that, but I mean, just, you know, stick around or check out any kind of content you can find, you know, with me saying stuff like this. And really the whole point is, you know, like I'm saying, keeping everything around the gospel, realizing our place and staying there. And then if we get a little bit off track, well, coming right back, you know, just one step back to where we're supposed to be, you know. I mean, that iron rod, like it says within the Book of Mormon, keeping a hold of that iron rod, you know, and you fall off the path, and you just look for that rod, man, and you just grab it again, and you just keep going on the straight and narrow, you know. I mean, it's just all so simple, but only if we're not the ones doing it. If we can rely on Christ through everything, man. I mean, that's the ideal, is through everything, you know, praying continuous without ceasing. That's actually a commandment. None of us are going to be able to like do that perfectly, right? We're simple by nature anyway. You're not going to be able to pray through everything without ceasing. I mean, we get in stuff, man. All of a sudden, like, we're all worked up and worried, and like all of a sudden we like, you know, we got some kind of like, we're slinging webs to try to grab the reins, you know, like like grasping at straws, bro. Try to get control, which we don't have anytime, you know, we never had in the first place. And so it's funny, man. It's just funny, this little dance we do as humans. There's this person, bro. I'm gonna shout this dude out. I don't know much about this guy except for, you know, a couple songs I heard of him, but this guy Ren, he plays guitar, man. He plays a classical guitar. I think he actually plays a Cordoba. I think it's actually the same guitar that I had at one point. Um, darn it, I don't know exactly what it is as of right now, but yeah, I think he actually plays Cordoba. He had this song. Darn, I don't even know if I'm gonna know what it's called right now or not. But basically, he was just sitting there in a wheelchair, and he's playing this guitar, bro, just shredding and like rapping to it. And man, he's just kind of like discussing the gospel and this whole like swing, from David to Goliath. Like, I don't know. He was talking about this whole thing about really what separates us from angels and our God, and what separates us from the spirit world is that we're in this whole probationary state, man. And that's really what it is, and that's so cool. He had a beautiful depiction of like the whole battle of back and forth with like wanting control but not having it, and then like giving it up, and then like battling battling sin, man, a lot of it really, and temptation, and just hardships. And then it was such a beautiful depiction he did, man. He like painted a whole, whole photo, man. He painted a picture with this beautiful like rap to guitar, bro. And not many people do that, rap with guitars. I'm somebody I've dabbled with that a little bit, man. I come from a background of freestyle rap, and so I really appreciated that video he did, man. Well, it's a song, but it's just the music video that I saw on the internet. So yeah, his name's Ren. I don't know if I can get the title to you like through this video unless I sat here for long enough to have it come to me, but maybe it doesn't really matter necessarily. You could probably find it. But man, I love that, just it's the whole swing, man, the whole pendulum. That's what he did. He kind of stood up out of the wheelchair at the end, and he talked about it like being this whole swing, from you know I mean, you can go watch that, man, if you can find it. It's so powerful. Anyway, and that's what's gonna happen a lot within the music that I put out. I don't know necessarily how many words or how much singing, how much rap, how much, what it's gonna be. Because when it comes to guitar, I'm actually mostly a finger style guitarist, and so, but I've done a lot of rapping with, picking through a tempo as well. So a lot of it's in minor chords, and that's funny. That's what I started this out with is minor chords, and talking about kind of blues and stuff. Tommy Emmanuel, um, man, yeah, Justin Johnson's someone I love. I don't know many guitarists. I don't, like I said, I don't like rock or any kind of, traditional guitar music at all. When I say traditional, I mean just like the kind of stuff that people think about a lot of time when they think about like a guitar. A lot of times they think about electric guitar and like shredding through, metal or whatever. Nah, I don't like that. I'm not trying to like bash people's likes or just, I don't care. I'm not trying to start something. I do not like that. But, Ren, man, he's that song I'm talking about. He There's a ton of minor chords in there. I mean, it's just so emotional, man. Minor chords have so much emotion in them, and they have so much like, I want to say dynamic range. I think that's more of like a photography term, but like there's like so much dynamic range within um minor chords, man. I mean, you can just feel so much within, especially like I'm saying, nylon strings, bro. They got a whole different kind of dynamic where the light touch versus the more firm touch, and there's a lot of little tiny nuance you can get out of just something simple. Even a ukulele. I'm not talking about just guitars necessarily, but just music in general. Something so beautiful, man. So broad. It's some gosh, the level of breadth, if you will, that there is to music. Oh my goodness. I mean, you can get like the same genre and have it sound like entirely different things. You can get the same song and have multiple people play it in entirely different ways, and lots of stuff like that, to where there's just so much within music that's just, unique, actually, to from individual to individual. And so that's what I love is a lot of times you feel like you're listening to an entirely different thing than you've ever heard just because it's a different person playing something, man. Or it's like, it sounds like an entirely different instrument just because someone else has got their hands on it, and they just got a sweet touch with it. And I will say, without being boastful or anything, I've got a sweet touch, if you will, when it comes to music. It's something that, like I said, we've been given talents, and things to share. And as I keep saying, you'll see. I'm not trying to like build up to something like so like, as if like I'm trying to make it sound like something. I just mean it. Like I'm good at music, man. I'm good with music. I feel it in a whole different kind of way than than any kind of like, trying to play music. I just play music. It just happens to me. So I'm excited, man. So I guess yeah, this is a podcast episode in itself, bro. Strangely enough, I mean, started this out intending on it going on In the Image Clothing Company music, but this could be posted on In the Image Clothing Company podcast, bro, as episode 20. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, maybe it becomes episode 20 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And if it does, then there we go, But that's not what I was intending on at first. But hey, you never know. That's sweet, bro. Again, misconceptions, starting out something, thinking, how it's gonna go, or thinking, at least have some kind of idea, and then it's like entirely different. So, man, all right, yeah. I started out saying though, when I really got talking about music within this video here, I started out talking about how I got this whole love for minor chords. So, I think one of the big things I want to say with that is, in my own being, I don't know if this is like a preconceived idea in itself, man, to think that minor chords are kind of like, I mean, well, you think about the gospel. I'm going to finish that. But you think about the gospel, and a lot of times you think about hymns and things. And at least in my perspective of it, I think a lot of times like bright and happy major chords. But really, no, there's a lot of chords that are very minory. They really are. Or not chords necessarily, but, or not. Yes, there's a lot of hymns and things like within the gospel that are actually very much filled with like minor sounds because there's so much emotion to it, and it's heavenly in itself. That's again the paradoxes in the gospel, because yes, heaven, we think about like light and bright and like your clouds and whatever, really, whatever comes to your mind when you think about heaven. A lot of it's like really bright and light and things like that. But that minory stuff, I mean, I'm picturing, no joke, man, like, oh gosh, like Christ getting crucified, man. If I just want to get really real, I want to call, like, slow it down for a second here. Think about like Christ getting crucified, and you think about the agony that he went through and all the pain and stuff. And if you think about hearing minor chords and the emotion that it brings to you and how it really settles you, it kind of really puts you into a place where it drops you into, I mean, it brings me more present, man. When I hear minor chords, that's what brings me present. That's what it kind of like makes you kind of really tune into it. Like, what is happening? I feel like minor chords are almost like, I don't know so much about music theory at all as of now, man, but so I don't know how much of this is just like, what people could actually be describing it in kind of like a technical music theory type of way or what, but to me, what it feels like is minor chords feel kind of like off. And kind of like one of those like, hey, pay attention kind of things. One of those moments where it's like, hey, tune in, like, slow down, kind of like keep yourself aware type of thing. And I love that, man. It makes you feel, and not that we need to get trapped in emotions in any kind of way, but I think sometimes people get so avoidant of emotions that minor chords can actually really like I'm saying, like zone you in for a second there, man, when you're hearing it. That's what it does to me. And that's what it does as I'm playing them too. And I think you kind of tell when I was talking about Tommy Emmanuel and he gets like his shoulders moving so much when he plays guitar, some people don't do that, man. I'm not judging those kind of people at all. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying when you do see someone like moving their body physically more than just their arms and their hands when they're playing something like a guitar, ukulele, whatever, you can just tell like it's coming through them. They're not just playing a song, but they're feeling what they're doing, and that's kind of what I mean with minor chords. It gives me this whole like, it really puts me in touch with the instrument that I'm playing, So, and warm sound, well, that's the other thing too, like major chords, that we think of them as being bright and being happy and like light. And I like warm woods. I like, mahogany and cedar and those kind of woods, paired with a minor chord. Well, the point is those woods, yeah, they're so warm and like deep and like it's almost like a didgeridoo, man. Shout out to those Australians out there. Tommy Emmanuel. I didn't mean that just because of him, but I'm pretty sure he's Australian. No, but really, I mean, it's like those, talk about like a root chakra, no joke, being grounded and stuff like that. Really like deep rooted like warmth. I love that within music. So you'll hear a lot of that if you hear anything from me when it comes to, when I start, really getting into it with music. With a guitar is what I mean. I can get into it all I want with this ukulele, but there's not that much like deep resonance just because of the size of the body of the instrument, which is fine. It's just, that's what I'm talking about here. Well, I mean, yeah, see, it's like I cover myself. That's fine. No, I just mean there really is a time and a place for certain things, and I've mentioned within this ukulele, I looked it up, and as far as I found, I think it is mahogany. Mahogany is a much warmer sounding wood than something like I don't want to just start naming stuff because people got their own like perceptions of what they think woods sound like. But to me, cedar on a classical guitar, man, or mahogany, or just nylon strings paired with those woods. Oh my gosh, I love it. I just love the like. It's like you listen to waves crash on the beach in the sense of the way it makes you feel. I love that. So those warm woods. I've had a lot of guitars, and I had a lot of spruce guitars, and I had guitars with that. I don't know exactly how to say it, but like sapel, I think, wood. That's really bright sounding as well. I'm not a fan of those two kind of woods, man. But I've had cedar guitars and mahogany guitars. Really just like dark wood. Generally, if the wood grain, like the actual color of the wood is dark, usually that gives it a much warmer, like rooted sound. I love that, man. Pairing that with my style of music, bro, got a really unorthodox style of music. I use that word so much, unorthodox. If you don't know what that word means, really it just means kind of like uncommon, basically, is pretty much a synonym, pretty much, for unorthodox, Orthodox is kind of like run-of-the-mill in a sense. Honestly, I'm not trying to blanket statement it, though, either, because, like, orthodox is, like, what kind of, status quo, in a sense. Unorthodox is something that's, like, different, set apart. I love using that word because that's kind of how I would describe myself and then things that I do within my life, right? That's what I mean. I describe things using that word because, yeah, man, I love it. Being a little bit different to maybe a major amount of different than a lot of people are used to or even know how to handle. So I'm gonna fly off. Get it? We make a lot of puns, man. I got a lot of freestyle background, like I said. So much freestyle rap, dude, and metaphors, similes, a lot of wordplay stuff. I used to do just an immense amount of wordplay all the time, and so those kind of things too. When we get into music, that's what I mean. I'm gonna see what where I'm really supposed to be headed with that, as far as how much lyrics is and stuff, or how much is just gonna be mostly like instrumental guitar, because I love that too. I love all sides of it, bro. That I love, So cool. All right, yeah. Let's just say, hey,